Hi, I'm John McDonald from JM Run Coach. Thanks for joining me today. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how my London training is going. I will also talk about some exciting news I have on my website, jmruncoach.com. And if you stick around to the end, I will also go through my latest blog post, which I discuss how to avoid hitting the wall in a marathon. So stick around. Okay, so how is London training going? As you know, I had a really good run in London 2023. Not so good in Valencia 24. However, I did take away a lot from Valencia and Almagro as well. And I'm really excited to arrive at London in much better condition. I've had no setbacks whatsoever, and I need to just knock on wood there. I have no setbacks at all, like I did in the Valencia training block, where I had a low iron, or I had an iron deficiency, and I had an adductor strain. But so far, so good in London. I am in week 10 right now, which means I'm in a really high volume week, coming off a relatively high volume week. So it's been a build. I have another high volume week next week, but then I'll have a cutback, and then it's really into the race phase where I'll be looking at race specific sessions, and the pace should be in my legs as soon as I can clear some of this fatigue. And that's where the cutback will come into play. So yeah, I'm really excited about London, and I'm looking forward to it. I have also managed to accidentally sign up for another race later in the year, the Bath Marathon in October. It's along the Bristol Railway and supposed to be pretty good. I don't know. I've never done it, but it'll be interesting. I'll be going with some friends, and I don't know exactly how I'll approach it yet, but it should be a lot of fun anyway. That's the one thing I know. It will be fun, whether or not it is targeted as a fast marathon or not. Now on to my exciting news. You can see here I have on screen the training logs that I use, and now these are available on jmruncoach.com. All of the training logs from the book Marathon Training Strategies, the training plans are available on these training logs. Now, one thing that I like about these training logs is that it is a single view of your entire 16-week block. I love Strava and Garmin Connect, and you may use other fitness apps to track your runs, but you have to slide through and look at each individual run, where on these training logs I have set them up so that you can see the whole 16 weeks. You can see trends and how your sessions are going. And the way I use these is I compare how this training block has gone compared to the previous one and the previous one and the previous one. Now, I do use the same type of training week to week, and I have since 2022. So I have a lot of history, and I can look at week 10 and how my 24 miler went, or my 8 by 1 mile reps in week 8 went. I can compare and just see where my fitness level is. and I find them really useful. And you can see here that the dashboard is a new addition to these plans, and I love these. Now, I'm a complete numbers nerd, and I will admit that, hands up, I'm a numbers nerd, and I love digging into the numbers. I will track my calories, my macros, my weight. I weigh in every Friday morning at the same time, and I track that. And I have specific calorie goals per day, and I average that out over the week. I have specific macro goals. So, early in a plan, I'll be looking at 25% of my calories from protein, 25 to 30. And later on in the plan, I will shrink that down a little bit and have more of a carb focused. Also, in some of the bigger weeks, I will focus more on carbs. The new plans also track miles per shoe, a lot like Garmin and Strava and all the rest. However, you can see here that the interface is really kind of cool. I love it. So have a look on JM Run Coach. They are, you can, if you do plan on using these, you can use them over and over. So yeah, have a look and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to get some feedback. Maybe there's things that I'm not tracking on here that people would find interesting. So yeah, drop me a wee comment and let me know. So just wanted to say, if you enjoy this content, I would really greatly appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just something that you can do to help me out and get some of my content in front of more people. Thanks for sticking around. And in this part of the video, I'm going to talk about how to avoid hitting the wall in a marathon. If you've never hit the wall in a marathon, you don't ever want to experience it. It's a useful experience, but it is a painful and absolutely grueling experience. You'd be far better off taking some advice to avoid it, but if it happens, it happens. It's useful because you'll only ever hit the wall once, and you'll know how painful it is, and you will avoid it at all costs. It happened to me years and years ago in one of my Dublin marathons. I was feeling really strong, midway, maybe 13, 14 miles in. And so I decided, yeah, this is going really well. I was going out a little harder than I had trained for. I got to about mile 20 and boom. And they talk about hitting the wall. I hit a wall face first, and I had a 6-mile shuffle home. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Dublin, but around mile 19, I think there's a big hill that you have to get up, and they have a big, display, or they used to anyway. I think it was Lucozade that sponsored it, and it said, break through the wall and all this stuff. Well, I got to the top of that hill, and I just crawled home. 6 miles of agony. So how do I avoid hitting the wall? First of all, hitting the wall is 9 times out of 10 a nutritional you've run out of food, you run out of energy, you've run out of glycogen, you haven't taken enough on board or whatever. So how do you make sure that doesn't happen? Okay, first of all, in your training, in your lead up in your training, you should always be practicing what you're going to eat the night before. Okay, you don't want to just show up on race day and have whatever, the night before you maybe go out for Chinese or something. That's not a good strategy if you didn't do that in your training. Maybe going out for Chinese is a perfect strategy for you and your body. Wouldn't work for me. I like to keep it really simple, and I will have a specific amount of pasta with sauce. I try to avoid any meats or bolognese or anything like that. If I have it, I'll have a minimum amount of meat. I really want my evening meal the night before to be carb focused with low fat, low fiber, and to be honest, protein is not a fuel, and it's not going to help you get around the course. You want to have carbs. Now, I'm not recommending 700 grams of carbs on the day before. Keep it within the range that you practiced with throughout the entire 16-week block, right? Don't all of a sudden start changing things up with 7 days to go and start feeding your face with carb after carb after carb, unless you know how that's going to affect your body, right? Because the last thing you need is 2 to 3 toilet stops on the course, right? So practice your evening meal and practice that's something very easy to practice, okay, and get it right. And the other thing is go out for your race rehearsal training runs, your 20 plus milers. Try to get out at the same time as it is on race day. Eat your evening meal at the right time, the same time as you plan on eating the night before, and get out for your run the same time as your race starts. So the next thing is to ensure that you are practicing your breakfast before, okay? The last thing you need to do is show up on race day and not be able to eat the foods that you have practiced with the whole training block, right? So for me, I use porridge. I use the instant porridge pots. They work fine for me. And then I would also have bread, white bread, right? I don't want the carbs sitting in my stomach. I want the carbs to have fueled my muscles, and I want the glycogen converted by the time I get to the start line, okay? So, or at least well on the way. I don't want fiber. I don't want whole meal, low GI stuff that's going to be sitting in my stomach for a while. I just want to get this energy into the system. Okay. And also make sure you have that at the same time as you plan on before race day. So that is another easy thing to practice. You have full control over that while you're in training, and then make sure you can replicate that on race day. On course nutrition, number 3, your gels. Maybe you don't use gels. Maybe you use raisins. Maybe you use Haribos or Jelly Babies or something other than gels. Whatever it is, practice that. Practice it. So on your long runs, say you have a 22, 23, 24 miler, make sure you are trying them out at the right time, the same time that you plan on taking them on board on the run. And same with water and electrolytes. Okay, now electrolytes and water is a little bit more awkward, but plant them on the road, bring them with you in a hydration vest or on a belt. Just make sure you're practicing what you're going to do and when you're going to do it on race day, so that it isn't a big surprise. Okay, for me in Dublin, when I hit the wall, I had too few of gels, and I only practiced, with maybe 2 gels in my training. So yeah, 2 gels might be fine on a 20 miler when you're going long and slow, but 2 gels isn't going to cut it when you're really pushing for time. Next, training. You will or should have picked a time, a realistic time to train for in the marathon. What happens is a lot of people will feel really good, that's me, and go out and run way faster because they feel good. And there's adrenaline. You're just caught up in the crowds. 1 or 2 fast miles at the start isn't gonna push you into the wall, right? But 10, 12, 14, 16 miles faster at a faster pace than you trained for, that is disaster waiting to happen. And now I'm not saying you can't run faster than you trained for, right? It can happen. It's just rolling the dice. You have to be really, really careful. And I would say fast runners, people who are running their first marathon coming off of maybe a fast half marathon or a fast 10K, these are the people that are at most risk because you don't, until you understand and fully appreciate the marathon distance, it's just dangerous. Okay, anyone who's hit the wall knows what I'm talking about. My advice: go out with a race plan and stick to the plan. I have 3 plans. I would give all of my athletes three race plans. Okay, plan A, B, and C as well. But every individual, we would discuss this before race day and have a plan A, plan B, and plan C in place. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the website, jmruncoach.com. I have moved over all of my blog posts, and they're probably not formatted fantastic, but everything going forward is formatted nicely. And I'm excited to have this finally working. I don't have everything I want yet. I have all of the training logs with dashboard in Excel in miles up. I still need to do the kilometers, and I still need to do the Google Sheets for both of those as well. And they will be coming up on a daily basis. Those will be getting updated. And all of my coaching and everything that I have is available. My books, my coaching, these training logs. There's some free downloads. I think I've talked about the interval training pace charts. That has gone really well. I've got a ton of downloads off of that. So, I hope you find them useful. I would love to get some feedback on them. So if you had an opportunity, if you did download it, maybe you could do a wee review on the website. That would be helpful for me. Other than that, I think that's all I've got. Thanks for joining me today. I will update you again in the next week or two. And other than that, happy running, and I will catch you soon. Thanks.